Hey, how's it going out there? So a lot of you are probably nearing retirement age and wondering, well, when's the best time to retire? Well, a lot of that depends on certain factors. You know, the first one everybody talks about is the financial factor, and that does come into play, but that's not the only factor to consider. One is your health. If you look like you're in really good health, that comes into consideration. If you feel like you're going to live till you're 90 and you're enjoying work, hey, you might want to go ahead and stay working. One of the other ones is activities. What do you do outside of work? Now, me, myself, obviously I go fishing, I've got YouTube, I've got a lot of things going on. So outside of work, I don't think I'm going to have a big problem, but we're going to put that theory to a test by taking a long vacation and seeing whether I get bored or not. And I'll bet I don't. Some other things to take into consideration are your friendships at work. You know, do you have a lot of friends at work, and is that where you do most of your social interaction? If you're a social butterfly and you do a lot at work, you might want to stay at work for a few more years. The other is routine. If you're a person who is very much a routine type person, you got to realize when you leave work, you need something to get you out of bed in the morning. And that's a big thing, and I've heard that from several people who have retired from the plant that I work in. I'll talk to them a couple years after retirement, and a lot of them have told me, I just went too early. You know, because they didn't have outside activities. They didn't have a YouTube channel. They weren't fishermen. Okay, so the first part of taking a retirement test drive was to get the time off of work. So I went in and I asked my boss, and we negotiated a little bit. He wasn't too thrilled about me trying to take the whole month of December off, but he did give me 3 weeks. So the first week, I still had some obligations that I had to take care of. So I went ahead and got some honeydews done, did a little bit of overdue maintenance, not trying to make it sound like all I did was honeydews and work that first week. I did get to go out and I caught some trout down at the local pond we call the Still Basin, and I got to practice some of my golf. So I don't do a whole lot of golfing anymore. I used to be pretty avid. And so as you can see here, I got a little bit of work to do on my golf. So I'm going to keep working at that. Okay, so after a week of staying home, we went ahead and decided to blow town and go to the big city. So we went down to Austin, or near Austin, in the Lake Travis area. So we're going to go ahead and do some sightseeing and have a little fun down there and play with some new equipment. But I didn't take a fishing rod on purpose because this was a vacation and I wanted to try some new activity. So we ended up taking a different route down there. Not necessarily by choice, that's the way the maps took us, and we just kind of followed the maps down there. But we had a good time, seen some things that we hadn't seen before, and we still made it in one day, so it wasn't a bad trip at all. You know what, folks? We traveled 8 hours down here to Lake Travis, where it's normally beautiful and warm, to avoid the storm of the century. And look, it followed us. So it's still like -1 in Amarillo, so it's still a lot colder there, but it's pretty darn cold here too. But actually we had a few days before this to get some really good footage. So we got some good drone footage, we got some good camera shots, and I'm trying out my new camera. So you know what, folks? I hope y'all enjoy this. So once we got to the city, it didn't take us long to figure out that it was going to be pretty cloudy and gloomy most of the time we were there. But we did go ahead and went to the big box store, and I picked up some spoons for trout fishing that I hadn't been able to get locally, and of course had to go by the Orvis. And I love those fly fishing shops. I needed a new hat anyway, and I went ahead and picked up a bunch of material for building hair jigs. And if you haven't ever used a hair jig for bass fishing, you're missing out. You may want to tie a few up, and we'll go over that in a future video. But anyway, stopped off, ate at the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, I love that place, and so does my wife. So we had a great lunch there, and that first day was just a lot of fun. Also went by the local camera shop and picked up a few things that I had missed when I had ordered this new camera. So one of the big reasons for taking the trip was to try out this new audio and video equipment I got and to get some more drone footage, because the drone footage is really fun. I'm still working with the camera on the drone and trying to get those images better, but they didn't come out too bad, I didn't think. So our first stop was what they called Sunset Deck. And Sunset Deck is an overview that looks out across the valley northwest of Lake Travis. And as you can see here, it's just a really pretty view. Unfortunately, there wasn't any sunsets to be seen, so there was too many clouds. So we went there twice, but with all the clouds, we never could get any real good images of a sunset. But as you can see, it's just a stunning view. So the second stop was a spot known as Schaefer's Bend. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but there's just a really beautiful spot in the river down there with a lot of campsites and just acres and acres of unpaved road to go explore. And we had a really good time there. So I took some time and I got some decent shots of the Jeep with the drone. And if you look, I think there's a clip in here. Mrs. Double T, she stops and she's pointing out behind me. I guess some deer run up and almost looked in my back pocket. And they were playing around behind me and I never saw them. Didn't get any pictures of them, unfortunately, but we had a really good time down there. And unfortunately, the first day we went down there, I was going to get some shots of the Jeep coming up out of the river, not actually out of the river, but out of the river bottom. And it would have been really good, but when we went back with the drone, because it was raining that day, there were campers there, and I didn't want to tear up their campsite. So this is what we got. So you'll have to forgive me a little bit. You think getting a fish finder dialed in is hard? Try a mirrorless camera. Yeah, when all you've used is an iPhone before this, and all of a sudden you got a mirrorless camera and a drone, yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, so the third stop was a scenic overview near Peacock Bridge, just to the west of Austin. And wow, what a beautiful view of the Colorado River, and got some great shots there. Although what I found out was YouTube ain't for sissies, okay? So first of all, you pull up into this parking lot, which says no parking, but everybody, all locals say that they don't enforce that. And then they said, go to the 2 trash cans and there's a trail that leads you right up there. And I looked up, and I mean, it was a ways up there. And then you got to climb this real steep hill, and there's trees all over the place. And I'm telling you what, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'2". It was kind of an adventure to get up there. So again, YouTube ain't for sissies. It's definitely not for old guys, but I had a great time once I got up there. And everybody up there was kind of looking at me like, hey, what's this old guy doing up there? Did he make it? We gonna need to give him CPR to get him back down? Anyway, had a good time at the overlook and got some good shots. Whew, it's a little bit nippy. I don't know. I tell you what, this is crazy. I'm out here freezing. You know, I hope these guys really like this video, because it is cold out here. I could be home, back in the hotel room, sipping a margarita or something, or a hot toddy. Heck yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that steam rolling off the water. I assume because the water's been pretty warm, and all of a sudden now the temperature's dropped just quite a bit in the last 2 hours, actually. You can see it's starting to white cap out there a little bit. So it's pretty nasty out here. I'd be willing to bet that at the hotel, they probably got that temperature turned way up, and I'm out here shooting a video. What on earth am I doing? Jeez. I'm gonna head back, but it's quite a hike. All right, whew. I'm glad we're done with that. Oh, this video stuff it ain't made for sissies. I'm telling you. It's time to get back to the Jeep. Ay. And so before we had left to go down there, I'd put in to get some tickets to the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. And guess what? We came back up for Christmas and we had a nice, great family Christmas here at home. And then we had to run back down to San Antonio and go to this bowl game. And we had a great time there. Other than the outcome, we had a really good time. And we spent a couple of days and then drove right straight back again. All right, so first off, make sure that your financial plan matches what you want to do in retirement and the activities that you want to take in. And if it looks like you're getting close, hey, take a retirement test drive like I did. I'll guarantee you'll have a lot of fun doing it, and it'll give you a pretty good idea as to whether you're ready to retire or not. For me, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm ready to retire. But if you watch my earlier videos, you'll find out my financial planner told me, Rick, work another year. So anyway, so if you're planning on spending a lot of time with the grandkids or your nieces or nephews or something like that, go ahead and watch this video next and keep calm and hook 'em.